Ever written a check and felt that little flicker of doubt? That tiny voice in the back of your head whispering, "Is this too much? Am I going to hit some weird limit?" Especially when it comes to online banks like Ally, where things aren't always as straightforward as walking into a brick-and-mortar branch. You know, the kind of branch where you can actually see the teller's eyebrow raise slightly when you hand over a hefty check. Yeah, that kind of doubt. We've all been there, right? You're making a big purchase or settling a large bill, and you're relying on a good old-fashioned paper check. But in today's digital world, where everything is instant and seamless, paper checks can feel like relics from a bygone era. And with online banks, the rules can seem even more mysterious. Now, you might be thinking, a check is a check, right? I have the funds, so what's the problem? Well, that's what we're here to unravel today. Because, spoiler alert, there can be limits. And those limits can vary wildly depending on your bank. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Ally Bank and tackling a question that pops up a lot. What exactly is the check limit for Ally Bank? And, more importantly, how do you avoid any potential headaches when you need to use a check for those larger transactions? Let's start by acknowledging that Ally Bank, as a purely online institution, operates a bit differently. They don't have physical branches, which means their processes and systems are designed for digital efficiency. This can be a huge plus for many of us. No more waiting in line, no more limited branch hours. But it also means that some of the traditional banking norms might not apply. When it comes to checks, the concept of a limit can be a bit nuanced. It's not always a hard, fixed number. Instead, it often involves a combination of factors, including your account balance, your transaction history, and even the type of check you're writing. Think about it this way: a bank's primary concern is risk management. They want to ensure that funds are available and that transactions are legitimate. Large checks, especially those outside your usual spending patterns, can raise red flags. It's not about being difficult, it's about protecting both the bank and you from potential fraud or overdrafts. Now, before we get into the specifics of Ally, let's touch on the general landscape of check limits. Many banks, both traditional and online, have internal policies that govern large transactions. These policies can be influenced by regulatory requirements, as well as the bank's own risk tolerance. For example, some banks might place a hold on checks above a certain amount, requiring a waiting period before the funds become available. Others might require additional verification for very large checks. And some might simply decline the transaction altogether if it exceeds their internal limits. This is where things can get a bit murky, because these limits aren't always publicly advertised. They're often buried in the fine print of your account agreement or left to the discretion of customer service representatives. So, what about Ally Bank? Let's get down to brass tacks. The first thing to understand is that Ally Bank doesn't explicitly publish a single, universal check limit. You won't find a line in their FAQ that says, the maximum check amount is $X. This is where the nuance comes in. Instead, Ally Bank focuses on a few key factors that influence their handling of checks. Account balance, this is a big one. Obviously, the available funds in your account play a critical role. If you're trying to write a check for $10,000, but you only have $5,000 in your account, it's not going to fly. Ally, like any bank, wants to ensure that the funds are present to cover the transaction. Transaction history, your past spending habits matter. If you consistently write checks for small amounts, and then suddenly write a check for a very large sum, it might raise a flag. Ally systems are designed to detect anomalies and potential fraud. Check type, the type of check you're writing, can also be a factor. For example, a cashier's check, which is guaranteed by the bank, might have different limits than a personal check. Verification processes, for large checks, Ally might require additional verification. This could involve contacting you to confirm the transaction or requesting supporting documentation. So, how do you navigate this? The best approach is to be proactive. Contact Ally Bank directly if you're planning to write a large check, especially one outside your usual spending patterns. It's always best to contact Ally Bank customer service. They can provide specific guidance based on your account and the transaction. Consider alternatives. For very large transactions, consider alternatives to paper checks, such as wire transfers or ACH transfers. These methods are often faster and more secure for substantial sums of money. Maintain adequate balance. Ensure that you have sufficient funds in your account to cover the check. This seems obvious, but it's crucial to avoid any potential issues. Be aware of holds. Understand that Ally might place a hold on larger checks, requiring a waiting period before the funds become available. Plan accordingly to avoid any delays. Use Ally's tools. Ally offers tools within their online banking platform that can help you track your spending and monitor your account balance. Utilize these tools to stay informed. Let's look at a few real-world scenarios to illustrate how these factors might play out. Scenario 1. Large down payment. You're buying a house and need to write a check for a $20,000 down payment. This is a significant amount, and it's likely that Ally will require additional verification. It's crucial to contact them in advance to ensure a smooth transaction. Scenario 2. Business expenses. You're a small business owner and need to write a check for $5,000 to pay a vendor. If this is within your usual spending patterns and you have sufficient funds in your account, it's less likely to raise any red flags. Scenario 3. Unexpected expense. You have an unexpected medical bill for $15,000. This is a large, unusual expense, and Ally might place a hold on the check or require additional verification. Here are some general tips to help you avoid any potential issues when writing checks with Ally Bank. Keep detailed records. Maintain accurate records of all your check transactions. This will help you track your spending and avoid any overdrafts. Monitor your account regularly. Check your account balance and transaction history regularly to ensure that everything is accurate. Communicate with Ally. Don't hesitate to contact Ally Bank customer service if you have any questions or concerns. Understand hold policies. Be aware of Ally's hold policies for large checks. Consider digital options. Utilize Ally's digital transfer options when possible. These factors include your account balance, transaction history, and the type of check you're writing. The best approach is to be proactive and communicate with Ally Bank directly, especially for large or unusual transactions. Using the digital tools Ally provides can also help. Remember, online banks prioritize security and risk management, so large checks may trigger additional verification processes. Don't be alarmed. It's a standard practice to protect your funds and the bank's assets. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.